The vastness of space stretched before him, a canvas of infinite black dotted with distant stars. Decimus Varro stood at the viewport of his shuttle, admiring his reflection more than the cosmic panorama beyond. His sleek spacesuit hugged his athletic frame, the glowing number 10 on his chest plate pulsing with a steady blue light. "Agent 10, you are approaching the reconnaissance perimeter." Commander Lyra Hayes' voice crackled through his comms. "Remember, this is observation only." Decimus smirked. "When have I ever disobeyed orders, Commander?" "I've prepared a detailed list if you'd like me to transmit it," she replied dryly. "That won't be necessary." He adjusted his course, guiding the shuttle toward the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. Earth Defense Force intelligence had detected unusual activity here, possibly the vanguard of another alien incursion. After the devastation of first contact a decade ago, humanity couldn't afford to be caught unprepared again. "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures," Echo, the AI integrated into his suit, announced. "Recommendation: maintain distance and observe." Decimus scoffed. "They installed you to assist me, not lecture me." "Let's get a closer look. Statistical analysis suggests your tendency to ignore safety protocols has increased mission risk by approximately 78% over standard operating procedures," Echo continued in its maddeningly calm voice. "And my success rate?" 94.3%, which is why Commander Hayes hasn't had you court-martialed yet." Decimus grinned, pushing the shuttle faster toward a large debris field. Remnants of an old research station. Perfect cover for a closer look. As he navigated through the twisted metal and shattered solar panels, a massive shape emerged from behind Proxima's glare. The alien mothership was unlike anything in the EDF database. Organic curves flowed like liquid metal, pulsing with internal light that reminded Decimus of blood through veins. It dwarfed any vessel humans had ever constructed. "Echo, record everything. Hayes will want to—" The blast came without warning. His shuttle rocked violently, systems screaming as the engines failed. Decimus grabbed the emergency controls, but it was too late. The second blast tore through the hull, explosive decompression hurling him into space as his shuttle disintegrated around him. His suit's emergency systems activated instantly, hardening into survival mode. Thrusters stabilized his tumble, and he found himself floating amid the debris field, staring directly at the alien mothership. "Echo, status report," he barked. "Shuttle destroyed. Communications with Earth Defense Force severed. Suit integrity at 94% and holding. Oxygen reserve sufficient for 72 hours. Decimus cursed. "Can we send a distress signal?" Inadvisable. The energy signature would draw immediate attention from the alien vessel. He watched as smaller craft began to deploy from the mothership. Their movements were precise, methodical, a search pattern. They were looking for something or someone. "Echo, run analysis on that ship. What are we dealing with?" Insufficient data. However, design elements suggest Caraxian architecture. Decimus felt his blood run cold. The Caraxians were supposed to be extinct. Their civilization had mysteriously collapsed 3 years ago after a brief, violent encounter with Earth forces. An encounter where Agent 10 had led the decisive strike. "That's impossible. We wiped them out." Correction. EDF reports indicated their homeworld was neutralized. No confirmation of species extinction was ever verified. A nearby piece of debris shifted, drawing his attention. Decimus activated his suit's stealth systems, the glowing 10 dimming as adaptive camouflage engaged. He pushed himself toward a larger section of the destroyed station. A fragment of habitat module that might provide better cover. As he maneuvered through the silent graveyard of metal and composite materials, the reality of his situation sank in. Stranded in deep space, no backup, no extraction plan, Just him against what appeared to be a Caraxian armada. Exactly the kind of impossible odds that had made him a legend. Echo. What offensive capabilities do we have? Standard issue plasma sidearm. 3 EMP grenades. Suit integrated tactical systems at 100% capacity. Not enough to take on a mothership, but Decimus Varro hadn't earned his reputation by playing the odds. He'd make it work. He always did. Agent 10, Echo interrupted his thoughts. I'm detecting a transmission from the mothership. It appears to be directed toward Earth. Can you intercept? Affirmative. Decoding now. Decimus watched as more ships deployed from the mothership, their formation suggesting preparation for a jump to Earth. Whatever they were planning, he needed to stop it now. Decoding complete, Echo announced. The transmission contains what appears to be a declaration of war, citing the unprovoked genocide at Kirax Prime as justification. They can't possibly hope to defeat Earth's defenses, Decimus said, more to himself than Echo. Analysis of their weaponry suggests they possess technology significantly advanced beyond current Earth capabilities. Probability of successful planetary defense, 31.7%. Decimus felt a rare sensation in his gut, doubt. He pushed it aside. Then we stop them here. Plot me a course to that mothership. I'm going aboard. That course of action has a survival probability of less than 8%. Never tell me the odds, Echo. Just find me a way in. 6 hours later, Decimus clung to the underside of a Caraxian scout ship returning to the mothership. His suit's magnetic clamps strained against the unusual material of the alien hull, but held. The journey from the debris field had been harrowing. Twice he'd nearly been spotted by patrol craft, and once a sudden course correction had almost dislodged him into open space. As the scout ship entered a massive hangar bay, Decimus marveled at the interior of the mothership. Unlike the sterile utilitarian designs of Earth vessels, the Caraxian ship was almost cathedral-like. Soaring organic structures curved overhead, illuminated by bioluminescent light that pulsed in patterns suggesting a heartbeat. When the scout settled into its docking cradle, Decimus detached and slipped into the shadows behind massive support structures. Caraxian crew members, tall, insectoid beings with iridescent exoskeletons, moved with purpose throughout the bay. Echo, any sign they've detected us? Negative. However, their internal security systems operate on principles I cannot fully analyze. Caution is advised. Decimus moved deeper into the ship, following conduits that Echo identified as potential power systems. If he could reach the core, perhaps he could plant his EMP grenades and disable the vessel long enough to send a warning to Earth. As he navigated the labyrinthine corridors, memories of his previous encounter with the Caraxians surfaced, the mission that had earned him his highest commendation. The surgical strike on their homeworld that had supposedly ended their threat forever. He remembered standing before the EDF Council afterward, receiving accolades for his decisive action and uncompromising resolve. He'd never questioned the intelligence that had led to the strike order, never considered alternatives. The mission was everything, and Agent 10 always completed his missions. Echo, access my mission files. Operation Sundering Spear, the Caraxian campaign. Those files are classified Level 9. Override. Authorization Varro Alpha 6. After a pause, Echo responded. Files accessed. What specific information do you require? The intelligence assessment that justified the strike. What evidence did we have that they were preparing to attack Earth? Another pause, longer this time. According to the files, the primary evidence was a transmission intercepted from Kirax Prime. Linguistics experts interpreted it as preparation for a first strike against Earth colonies. And who led the linguistics team? Dr. Elara Voss, Decimus stopped cold. Ilara Voss, the woman he'd been involved with before her sudden reassignment. The woman who had questioned the interpretation, arguing for more time to analyze the Caraxian language patterns. He'd dismissed her concerns as professional overcaution, perhaps even weakness. Echo, is there any chance that transmission was misinterpreted? Dr. Voss filed a formal dissent, suggesting the transmission could have been a ceremonial communication or even an attempt at peaceful contact. Her assessment was overruled by military intelligence. A cold feeling settled in Decimus's stomach, different from the adrenaline of combat or the thrill of a dangerous mission. For the first time in his career, he wondered if he had been wrong, catastrophically wrong. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alarm. Lights throughout the corridor shifted to a pulsing red, and Caraxian voices echoed through the ship's communication system. Echo, what's happening? They've detected an anomaly, likely us. Security protocols are activating throughout the ship. Decimus cursed and broke into a run, heading for what Echo identified as a less populated area. He rounded a corner and found himself face to face with 3 Caraxian guards, their chitinous armor gleaming under the emergency lights. His training took over. The plasma sidearm was in his hand before the aliens could react, 3 precise shots dropping them before they could sound an alert. Decimus moved past their fallen forms without breaking stride. The ship's central command should be 2 levels up, Echo advised. However, security presence will be highest there. Then that's exactly where we're going. Decimus found an access shaft and began to climb, his suit enhancing his strength as he pulled himself upward through the alien vessel. As he emerged onto the upper level, a blast of energy struck the wall beside him. Decimus rolled, returning fire as he sought cover. More Caraxians converged on his position, their weapons firing bursts of crackling energy that his suit identified as plasma-based, similar to, but more advanced than Earth technology. He fought his way through corridor after corridor, Echo guiding him toward the command center. His suit took damage, the integrity dropping to 67%, then 54%. The number 10 on his chest flickered as power was diverted to critical systems. Finally, he reached a massive door that Echo identified as the entrance to the command center. Decimus placed his last EMP grenade on the locking mechanism and took cover as it detonated, shorting out the security systems. The door slid open, and he charged through. The command center was a vast chamber, dominated by a holographic display of the Proxima system, with Earth clearly marked. Caraxian officers turned in surprise as he entered, reaching for weapons. In the center stood a figure different from the others, larger, with an exoskeleton that shimmered with patterns of authority and rank. Cathax, the commander. Decimus raised his weapon, aiming directly at the alien leader. "Order your fleet to stand down," he demanded, his suit translating his words into the clicking, chittering language of the Caraxians. Cathax made no move toward a weapon. Instead, the alien gestured, and the others lowered their arms. "The destroyer returns," Cathax said, the translation coming through Echo systems. "The one who bears the mark of 10 civilizations." Decimus faltered. "What are you talking about?" "Your designation. 10. The number of species your kind has brought to extinction through your arrogance and fear." "That's a lie. I've only ever defended Earth against aggressors." Cathax approached, moving with a fluid grace that belied his imposing size. "Is that what you believe? That we were aggressors? Our transmission was an invitation to join the Galactic Concord, a peace offering after observing your emergence into interstellar travel." The alien gestured to the holographic display, which shifted to show recordings of the attack on Carax Prime. Decimus watched himself leading the assault, his younger face alight with the thrill of combat, the certainty of righteousness. You never questioned, Cathax continued, never sought to understand. The mark you wear so proudly, it is known throughout the stars as a warning. The human who brings death, who sees only threats where there might be allies. Decimus lowered his weapon slightly, doubt creeping further into his mind. Echo, verify this. Check all records of my previous missions. After a moment, Echo responded. Analysis suggests a pattern of potential misinterpretation in intelligence assessments preceding each major offensive you led. In 7 of 9 previous encounters, initial contact protocols were bypassed in favor of preemptive strikes. The weight of this revelation hit Decimus like a physical blow. The accolades, the reputation he'd built, all potentially founded on catastrophic errors. Not heroism, but hubris. Why are you here now? He asked Cathax. If what you say is true, why not just destroy Earth in retaliation? Because unlike you, we sought to understand before we acted. We intercepted your communications, learned your languages, studied your history. We discovered that not all humans share your readiness for violence. Some advocate for peace, for dialogue. Cathax moved to another console, bringing up an image of Earth's solar system. But our patience has limits. Your people are developing weapons that could threaten even distant stars. The Concord has voted. Either humanity joins us in peace, or we ensure you can threaten no one else. Decimus holstered his weapon, a decision forming in his mind. Let me speak to my commanders. I can tell them the truth, that we've been wrong, that there's another way. Why would they believe you? You, who have built your legend on destruction? It was a fair question. Decimus looked down at the number 10 on his chest, seeing it now not as a badge of honor, but as a mark of shame. Because I'll show them proof. He gestured to Echo. My AI has been recording everything. And because I'll offer myself as surety for humanity's good behavior. Cathax studied him, compound eyes unreadable. Explain. I'll stay here with your fleet. Send me to Earth with one of your representatives. I'll speak the truth about what I've done, what we've done, and then I'll return to your people to help prevent future misunderstandings. To begin to atone. The alien commander was silent for a long moment. You would abandon your world? Your status? My world deserves better than what I've given it. And status means nothing if it's built on lies. Decimus straightened, standing tall despite the damage to his suit. I've spent my career believing I was humanity's shield. It's time I became its bridge instead. Commander Lyra Hayes stood on the observation deck of EDF headquarters, watching as the unusual shuttle approached Earth orbit. Intelligence had been tracking the massive alien fleet at the edge of the Proxima system for days, expecting an attack that never came. Now this, a single vessel requesting diplomatic channels. Ma'am, her aide said, we're receiving a transmission. It's Agent 10. Hayes's eyebrows rose in surprise. 10. He was declared missing in action weeks ago. Yes, ma'am. But it's definitely him, and he's not alone. The view screen activated, showing Decimus Varro standing beside a towering Caraxian. The agent looked different, his usual confident smirk replaced by a solemn expression, his posture less domineering. Commander Hayes, he began, I'm returning with an envoy from the Caraxian hegemony. I need to brief you and the Council immediately on matters of galactic importance. Agent 10, you disappeared during a routine reconnaissance. Now you return with a representative from a species we believed extinct. Explanation required. Decimus nodded. A full explanation is coming, Commander. But the short version is this. I was wrong. We were wrong, and I'm here to make it right. He stepped closer to the camera, the number 10 on his damaged suit now modified, surrounded by a circle with a line through it. I'm no longer Agent 10. That designation, that person, was built on mistakes I intend to correct. Request permission to land and begin peace negotiations. Hayes studied him, noting the change in his eyes, the arrogance replaced by something like wisdom, or perhaps simply humanity. Permission granted, she said finally. Welcome home, Decimus. He shook his head slightly. Not home, Commander. Just visiting. My path lies elsewhere now. As the transmission ended, Hayes continued to stare at the approaching shuttle. Whatever had happened to Decimus Varro out there among the stars had transformed him. The legendary Agent 10, Earth's most decorated, most arrogant defender, had found something more valuable than accolades or victory. He had found humility, and in doing so, perhaps he had finally become the hero Earth truly needed.